A fiery collision on the runway in Japan on this episode of Taking Off. Hi, I'm Dan Milliken, and we're going to get into the details of what happened on January 2nd at Tokyo's Haneda's airport. But before we get into that, I want to wish all of you a Happy New Year's, and may 2024 be a year in which reports like this are less and less. This channel is made possible by our sponsors like Z-Vision, the brightest landing and taxi lights out there, and also 67 Designs. They hired my company S Films to do some commercials, and I'm going to end this video with a short commercial we did for 67 Designs. They're great camera and phone and tablet mounts for your airplanes, cars, boats, whatever you need. I'm using them. Also, as you can see, I'm traveling from holiday with the extended family. Chewy's in the back, and hopefully he won't make noise. And I'm not going to be able to edit this to the standards that I usually want. But here's the breaking news. An Airbus A350 JAL Flight 516 was landing Tuesday night, January 2nd, at Tokyo's busy airport. It collided on runway 35 with a Japanese Coast Guard Bombardier C8. There were apparently 6 people on board the Dash 8, and 5 have been reported deceased, and the captain, the 6th person, in critical condition. On board the large packed Airbus was 367 passengers and 12 crew, and amazingly enough, again, according to the reports we have at this time, all survived. And when you look at the footage, it is truly miraculous that this wasn't more tragic than it is right now. The Airbus A350 is an extra wide-body jumbo jet. It first flew in 2013 in France and received type certification from the FAA 1 year later. It's a 2-engine jet, similar to the Boeing 787. This very large airliner is Airbus's first to be created largely of carbon fiber. And depending on the variant and configuration, the A350 can carry between 300 and 400 passengers. The Bombardier C8 has been in the news quite a bit. It's the aircraft that was the Colgan Flight 3407 crash that changed a lot of the way airline pilot training is done. In addition, it's the plane that was stolen from the gate in Seattle, in which the ground worker committed suicide by crashing it into an uninhabited small island. Japan had just been rocked a few hours earlier by a 7.6 magnitude earthquake. The Coast Guard aircraft was in the process of delivering relief supplies to a peninsula that was heavily affected by the quake. And as far as how this could happen, it really comes down to one of 3 possible things. The Coast Guard plane was in the wrong place at the wrong time, the Airbus plane was in the wrong place at the wrong time, or ATC gave incorrect information. We have no idea yet which it is, but what we can take away is the importance of vigilance and communication and situational awareness at all times. As you can see from the footage, it was nighttime activity, so make sure you follow all the safety procedures and guidelines that are out there for your safety. Again, it's just amazing that all the people on that packed Airbus survived. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of the people of the Japanese Coast Guard aircraft. In other aviation news, I was wanting to make a report about the final report from the Nepalese equivalent of the NTSB concerning the ATR from a year ago. And if you recall, there were 68 passengers, 4 crew, so 72 fatalities. The left seat captain was doing her orientation flight for this new airport and had a check airman acting as her first officer in the right seat. The primary contributing factors were determined to be a high workload of operating into a new airport and human factors of stress that resulted in misidentification. And what's interesting to me is the lack of specificity on what exactly happened, which we learned from the prelim report almost a year ago, and that is the right seat pilot, the check airman, when asked to extend the flaps, he mistakenly feathered the propellers, which was right next to the flaps. Neither pilot could identify why they suddenly lost all thrust, and they ended up stalling and crashing, killing everyone on board. Certainly the workload of coming into a new airport contributed to the incorrect selection, but to me, it's not just the workload or the stress that killed him. It was simply the mistake made by the right seat pilot, someone very experienced and should have never made that mistake, and I'm surprised the report doesn't state this. However, The report does state generally a contributing factor was the lack of appropriate technical and skill-based training to the crew, and also non-compliance with the standard operating procedures, and a lack of sterile cockpit discipline. And the tragic irony in all of this was it was the captain. She had gotten into flying because her husband years ago was killed in a crash with the same airline, and she used the money she got from that to learn to fly and become a captain herself. Nepal has a pretty bad safety reputation, and some European countries won't even fly into their airspace because of that. Let's hope they use this to learn and to train so that it doesn't ever happen again. And that's it for Tuesday, January 2nd. Again, I hope you have a great new year, and don't forget our sponsors. I mentioned a couple at the beginning, but I also have Flying Eyes, and as I drive and when it's not cloudy outside and I need sunglasses, I can just pop them on real quick, and that's great. So also Jerry at Clemens Insurance, he saved me a lot of money when I switched over to him because he simply knows how to make the system work. And give him a call at clemensinsurance.net. Also Marshall Protective Services, mpsprotects.com. And I'm going to leave you with our short little commercial for 67 Designs. Would love to know what you think in the comments below. Remember, superior judgment trumps superior skills. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
For the adventurers, the thrill seekers, the ones finding joy in the journey. Drive, fly, or float. It's about more than just reaching your destination. It's about having the best equipment that enhances your journey. Like American-made 67 Designs phone and tablet mount. Designed here, made here, used all around the world. 67 Designs. 67D.com.